Let us now try to convert units under the metric system. As we already know, the metric system usually uses the prefixes, different prefixes to differentiate the different levels of measurement for this system. Shown to you right now are few of the examples, and we are going to look for the equivalent values for each of the given measurements here. This metric system again uh, to uh, may seem to be so easy, but let us just try to capture how do we usually get its equivalent value for each of the level of metric system measurement. So we are asked to determine how many millimeters are there in 1 meter. Again, I know for sure that some of you already knows how many millimeters are there in 1 meter. But let us try to come up with a unique process that we could also apply in items 2 to 6 to make our computation easier. Now, again, the metric system usually uses the prefixes. I'm going to show to you the summarized table shown in your module as well. Here at the bottom, we have here the prefixes used for the metric system from exa to ato, because they are just commonly given to be these are the common prefixes that we use in metric system. And then we are given here with equivalence. This equivalence for each of the given prefix is based on the unit. These equivalents are based on These equivalents are based on 1 unit of a given measurement. Let's say in the measurement of length, we use meter. So we are talking about 1 meter. This is the basis without the basis is the unit without any prefix. If we talk about capacity or volume, we talk about liters or 1 liter. If we talk about mass, we talk about gram, right? So we usually base it here. And the equivalence as we go up are based on these values as compared to the unit, the unit of measurement without prefixes. And as we go down, they're also referred here. To make it easier for us to understand the metric system, we are given here with equivalent exponentiations. Okay? For the prefix exa, as compared to the unit of measurement without any prefix, it's 10 to the power of 18, and followed by peta, 10 to the power of 15, and so on and so forth. In converting units under the metric system, only to differentiate or determine the equivalent values from each unit to the other using these prefixes, let us try to use here the exponentiations. Okay. Let us try to use here the exponentiations, and we are going to follow a specific process. As we convert from a higher level of, unit of measurement to the bottom, we are going to divide. And as we convert from a lower unit of measurement to a higher one, we are going to multiply. Again, as we go from top to bottom, let's divide. As we go from bottom to top, let's multiply. So let's use these concepts as we solve here. Again, I know for sure that some of us already knows how many millimeters are there in 1 meter. But let's try to use that concept as we move from one step to the other. To solve the number of millimeters in 1 meter, we could just simply take the exponentiation of meters and millimeters and use the process described here earlier. For meters, we have here 1, right? We have 1. And then for millimeters, we have milli. Using the prefix milli, we are going to use 10 to the power of negative 3. So millimeters, well, let's write it here. So 1, and you have here 10 to the power of negative 3. To determine the number of millimeters in 1 meter, as we go up, because meter has no prefix, so we start here and we go to millimeters, we are going to use division. We are going to divide the values here. So we'll have you 1 over 10 to the power of negative 3. Using the laws of exponents, our law of negative exponents specifically, we can actually bring this up and we'll have 10 to the power of 3, making the exponent now positive. And 10 to the power of 3 is actually 10 times 10 times 10, which is actually equal to 1,000. In short, there are 1,000 millimeters in 1 meter. And that's our answer here. Again, what we did here is we look at the exponentiation of the unit meter in our table here. The meter has no prefix, so we will use 1. And then the exponentiation of milli is actually 10 to the power of negative 3. And then since we go from top, from a bigger unit of measurement, meter to a millimeter, we divide the equivalence of the exponentiations. So 1 divided by 10 to the power of 3, use the laws of exponent, you have 1,000 millimeters. This actually proves that there are actually 1,000 millimeters in 1 meter. For number 2, we are asked to determine how many meters are there in 1 centimeter. To do that, let's go to the table and look for the exponentiation of centimeters is here. You have 10 to the power of negative 2. So we have here 10 to the power of negative 2. And meters is again the unit without any prefix. So you have here 1. Earlier, from meter to millimeters, from a higher level, higher unit to a not higher, a bigger unit to a smaller unit, we divided the two exponentiations. Here from centimeter, which is actually the lower form of measure unit for length, going to meters, which is a higher one, we are going to multiply. So this is actually 10 to the power of negative 2 times 1 is actually again 10 to the power of negative 2. 10 to the power of negative 2, loss exponent tells us that we could bring it down. And then you have here positive 2. Right? This then equivalent to 1 over 10 times 10, which is 100. And decimal notation, 1 over 100 is equal to 1 hundredths. Or it means that we have 0, or in 1 centimeter, you have 0.01 meters. Okay, as you can see, usually when we go from a smaller unit to a higher one, we could actually be taking decimal values. But when we talk about a higher unit to a smaller one, we could actually get a number in a bigger value. Okay, let's try to talk about megagrams and gram. This is actually on the unit of mass, but let's just focus on the exponentiation for mega, which is actually going here. Mega is here. You have 10 to the power of 6. So you have 10 to the power of 6. And grams, we don't have any prefix here. So we have the expression 1. This is mega to grams. We are converting a higher level to a smaller level. So we are going to use division. So you have 10 to the power of 6 over 1, which is actually 10 to the power of 6. This is actually equivalent to a value with 6 zeros. In short, there are 1 million grams in 1 megagram. 1,000,000,000. So you have 1 million grams in 1 megagram. Okay? But for microgram to grams, again, exponentiation, micro is here 10 to the power of negative 6. So you have 10 to the power of negative 6. 2 grams again without any prefix, so that's actually 1. From smaller unit to a higher unit, just like number 2, we are going to multiply. And this is actually equal to 10 to the power of negative 6. Loss of exponents allows us to place the said exponentiation, the denominator, making the exponent positive. And then you have here 1. Sorry for that. Let me increase the size here. Okay, let me remove this. This is actually equal to 1 over a value with 6 zeros. Right? 1 over 1 million, or in terms of decimal notation, it's 1 millionth. So you have here 0 for tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millionth. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's it for our value here. So again, let me check tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000, millionth. So you have 1 over 1 million, or in decimal notation, 1 millionth. Finally, for number 5 and number 6, same concern. Liter to centiliters. Let's use the exponentiation. Sorry for that. Liter has no prefix, so we'll use 1. To centiliters, we have the prefix centi, which is actually 10 to the power here, 10 to the power of negative 2. 10 to the power of negative 2. We are moving from a liters to centiliters, from here to here. So a higher unit to a smaller one. So we are going to use division just like in numbers 1 and 3. So you have 1 divided by 10 to the power of negative 2, which is actually 10 to the power of positive 2. And this is actually 10 times 10, or 100. This means that there are 100 centiliters in 1 liter. And finally, for number 6, the exponentiations for deci. So go back here. Deci is here, 10 to the power of negative 1 here. So let's have 10 to the power of negative 1 to liters, which is actually 1. Okay. And then from lower unit to a higher one, let's multiply. 10 to the power of negative 1 times 1 is actually 10 to the power of negative 1. Okay. Which is actually equal to 1 over 10, or in decimal notation, 1 tenths. So there are 0.1 or 1 tenth liters in 1 deciliter. Okay. This equivalence here in number 1 meter is 1,000 millimeters. 1 centimeter is 0.01 meters. 1 megagram is 1 million grams. I forgot to place it here. 1 microgram is 0.0. This is 1 millionth. Yes. So tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millionth. So we have 1 microgram is 1 million grams. 1 liter is 100 centiliters, and 1 deciliter is 1/10 of a liter. Okay. These are actually now the conversion factors. Okay. These are the important conversion factors. Okay. That we could come up when we try to convert now, not anymore one. Okay. We're going to convert um, multiple uh, value for a unit of measurement to the other. So let's say we talk about 10 meters aside from one. We're going to use the conversion factor of 1 meter to 1,000 millimeters. If we would like to convert that 10 meters to how many millimeters? Okay. Consequently, we can also use this to convert the some units in metric system to equivalent English system measurement. Let's say 1 meter is, we would like to convert it to um, inches. Okay, we may pass through centimeters, so we could have meter to centimeters and then centimeter to inches, so on and so forth. Those these will be covered by the next video. Okay, so these are actually conversion factors in the given metric system of measurement. Okay? We could also add here another problem. Let's try to add another problem here, saying how many. Let's try 7. How many? If we have 1 kilogram, not kilo, 1 megameter is equal to how many? Sorry, is equal to how many centimeters? Let's have that one. So we are asked to determine the number of megameters in 1 centimeter. Okay. Some of you might say, I'm going to convert first megameter to the meters and then meters to centimeters. We could actually do that. Pass to have two different operations. So 1 megameter will be converted to how many meters and then meters to centimeters. You can do that. But you just simply using the exponentiations here and the concept that from a higher unit to the lower one, we are going to divide the exponentiations. We can immediately get the equivalence. For megameter, mega is again 10 to the power of 6. And then you have your centimeters, you have 10 to the power of negative 2. So you have 10 to the power of negative 2. It's okay for us now not to pass through meters because, first and foremost, these exponentiations for megameter and centimeters are actually based on the unit without prefix, in this case, meter. So we may not pass meter anymore. So we could solve here. Megameter is a higher level to the centimeter, which is a lower one. We were going to divide 10 to the power of 6 over 10 to the power of, so that's 10, negative 2. Okay. And you have here loss of exponents allows us again to bring this up. So you have 10 to the power of 6 times 10 squared. Loss of exponents allows us that it will be 6 plus 2, or it is equivalent to 10 to the power of 8. Okay. In short, you have 1 and 8 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, comma, comma. We have 100 million centimeters. So 1 megagram is 100, sorry, not megagram rather, 1 megameter is equivalent to 100 million centimeters using the prefixes here. Okay, so this is the content of this video only for the conversion of the metric system measurements, units of measurements, using the concept of exponentiations. For the next two videos, we are going to talk about the conversion of some units under the metric system and then converted to be to the equivalent English system measurement. So stay tuned for that. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you have learned something. Goodbye.